if you are under the goal or assumption that you would like to move to PC as your primary means of streaming, then it is just going to be education, reiteration, and you will see a trickling effect over time. You may have to split your time for a little while and just let them know it's like, hey, I'm slowly moving over. Give them reasons why you prefer to move over, like how much you really enjoy the PC experience, or maybe you feel like your game is being leveled up as a result of the PC experience. Give them a positive reason to be able to relate to your migration, and your community will migrate with you.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Stream Key Podcast. We're back after a week off. Really excited this week. There's a ton to talk about. If you guys haven't seen the show before, this is our weekly show at TRUgaming where we teach you how to level up your stream and just talk about streaming news on Twitch, Mixer now, that's a big one this week, and any other platforms. I'm Greencord, the Media and Marketing Director at TRUgaming, and 3 guests this week coming at you as always. First of all, returning for the second time is Nagata Locke the second. Locke, how's it going today, man?
Pretty well. Looking forward to kicking back with you guys today.
Yeah, excited to have you. Also, AllFunNGamez coming on for the 3rd time, maybe? Does it sound right?
Sounds about right, yeah.
Okay. Got the green wall up there to match Locke. I like that. And last but not least is Veloc TV. Vel, how's it going, man?
It goes good. How are you?
It goeth well, brethren. All right, guys. Well, thanks for joining us today. We have a lot to talk about this week, like a lot, because we took last week off, and of course, the week we take off, the biggest streamer in the world changes platforms. So we're going to be breaking that down in a bit. Again, if you guys have your own questions or topics, and actually, I anticipate people want to talk about Ninja this week. So if you want to talk about Ninja or whatever else we're talking about, you can call in later. We'll explain that in a bit. You guys should know all 3 of these guys pretty well since they've been on the show before. So we'll skip the intros this week and get right into the news. First of which is, like I said, the fact that Ninja left Twitch to move to Mixer. It's about a week ago, and there's been a lot of talk about it since then. A lot of other things have come out of that. So I'll quickly go through a couple of the big ones that I found interesting. Okay, so the first one, no one really knows the actual price of how much he got paid. They just know it's a lot. Clearly, Microsoft had to shell out some money for this. It seems like a pretty consistent agreement that it was at least $10 million for this deal, but no one actually knows the exact amount. Also interesting is that Twitch removed his partnership like immediately as soon as he announced this. They took away his verified badge, and they actually made a custom landing page for his channel. So if you guys go to twitch.tv/ninja, usually if a channel was deleted or otherwise removed, it's a blank page, right? But his page is still there, all his clips and VODs and things. If you go to his little channel tab, it just says he's in another castle, which is not the standard way of removing channels. So I thought that was interesting. They actually went out of their way to let you know he's not here.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it could also just be a lot of people are going to that page trying to find him, are confused. But I don't know. What do you guys think about that? Because some people say it was kind of like a petty thing and Twitch is being a little butthurt about it. Other people are saying it's just a business thing. You know, you want to disassociate with him as a brand as quick as you can. Locke, what'd you think?
So the checkmark thing, there's 2 sides of it from what I can tell. One is that his removal of his partnership checkmark is actually, from what I understood, is automated. That wasn't I guess manual, I guess you could say, because of the way that his partnership agreement worked with Mixer. A set of wheels were in motion and his partnership checkmark was removed essentially automatically. The other thing I don't really understand though, the moving his or sending a specific message is petty for one, because you just said, okay, you've just put your creator above everybody else. Nobody else has ever had, a custom, he gone on their page, So you're like, all right, fine. But you also are inducing your audience to go look, you set this person apart. You've essentially created a weird negative advertisement to go find where this person is. And that doesn't make any sense to me from a business perspective whatsoever. So I don't understand the move at all in either aspect.
And actually what's interesting about that negative advertisement is one thing that you might have seen Doc really harp on this week is Ninja has still been on the front page of Twitch, technically, this whole week because they keep featuring, Tim, Lupo, Booga, is that his name? The guy who just won the Fortnite thing. And they're always playing with Ninja. So even though he's not on Twitch, he's still getting featured, which is kind of funny. AllFun, what are your thoughts on this whole situation?
Well, I think like everybody knows that if you are a partner and then also you decide to stream somewhere else, you're pretty much like instantly you get that removed right away. There's really nothing you can do about that. So that's why a lot of people are kind of like, well, it was going to happen anyways. I know when I went to his page, I got like if you're not, he's not here kind of thing, but here's other people that are streaming Fortnite that are the top streamers kind of thing. Obviously, it's Twitch. They can do whatever they want, right? So, I mean, they might be a little bit angry, butthurt about it. Who knows? It's really hard to say. They could also just be pretty, this could be a normal thing for them. Like if Doc decided to leave, maybe they'll do the same thing kind of thing. You never know. But, it's hard to tell really, I guess, for Twitch. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, actually, one thing I want to mention, the H3 podcast talked about this too, and they had some really kind of cool points from their point of view, since their podcast used to be on here and they switched to YouTube. They did the exact same thing where when H3 moved from Twitch back to YouTube, Twitch just immediately stripped off their partnership channel. They actually still are owed money from Twitch. They haven't gotten paid, which is interesting. But they brought the point that PewDiePie, who is also on Twitch technically, still has his partnership and still has the check mark, all that stuff, even though he's on DLive now. So that's kind of an interesting double standard where, okay, maybe it's not automated because here's an instance. Of course, he's probably the biggest media figure in the internet right now, so maybe that's why. But still, like, people have used that as an argument to say, okay, it's not automated. Maybe it's just kind of pettiness on the side of Twitch. Vel, what are your kind of thoughts on all this?
Man, it's another thing showing the inconsistency of any of the rules or anything like that Twitch does, and it kind of sucks. And I don't know, I do think the whole thing is a little bit petty with the he's in another castle and everything. I didn't know that they owed people money who switched back to YouTube. That's crazy. Yeah, I don't know, it's tough because, like, from their perspective, like, it sucks that they're missing out on like a huge streamer or multiple huge streamers, like now that we're talking about more than just the one. But I do think that the he's in another castle thing is pretty petty, and it's just like a small stab. Like, it'd be different if they're like, oh, he's over on Mixer now, like trying to help him out. No, like, you know what I mean? They left it like totally blank and totally open. Like, go figure it out. Like, he's not here anymore. Get out. But I don't know. That's just crazy. It's just crazy, man. Yeah, it's just petty. It's just petty.
Well, and is that a screenshot of that? Just out of curiosity, I would love to see that. I like when I went to his channel, it just showed other people streaming Fortnite. That's pretty much it.
Well, I think it defaults to his videos section or something. But if you click on channel, that's where it is. If you go to his channel. But yeah, Vel, the pettiness is something people have been talking about beyond just this situation with Twitch for some time. In terms of how they relate to other streamers and.
Right.
There's been all this drama about moderation lately and bans and non-bans and So I think this just sort of adds fuel to that fire right now.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And I think
that.
Go ahead.
Sorry. Well, I was just gonna say I don't know if the company itself just knows how to deal with rejection on the scale or somebody like leaving on the scale. Like we talked about this a couple of weeks ago when we were going over the like Streamlabs Q2 about how like it's a chasm of difference between viewership and streamers and everything between Twitch and its next level of competition. And then the next tier of competition shelled out fat stacks and was just like, come on over, we got something for you. And Twitch is left going, whoa, like they went right to the top of the food chain and they shelled out the money for it. And I don't know if Twitch, I'm not gonna say like Amazon's something to itself, but like Twitch itself knew how to deal, because they were, if you're at the top for so long and you're completely assured in like your dominance, it's one thing if like H3 leave, it's just like, okay, they'll come and they'll go and they're a name, but they're not the name,
right?
So, but all of a sudden, like the name, the
right.
Truly casual public figure that people associate with Twitch has left.
Yeah. Honestly, that is when I first saw this news the other week, my initial reaction was just to laugh really hard because we were at TwitchCon last year, and if you guys saw the keynote, they spent a good maybe like 5-10 minutes just talking about Ninja when they were there. Like, this streamer's had a great year. He's been really great for our platform. And then they took him to New Year's, and he was like the poster child and all of NYC. And then he just leaves. Yeah, it just cracked me up. But I think you're right though. You kind of hit on the fact that maybe they just weren't even really considering Mixer a real competitor at this point.
Yeah.
And actually on that note too, H3, again, they had a lot of cool gems listening to their little discussion on it. They talked about the fact that the management at Twitch is sort of maybe, they kind of said that they are on the younger side and they don't know how to deal with this kind of thing, maybe like less professional than YouTube. So that was one factor. And also the fact that they really are pretty greedy with contracts was something that I heard multiple times, both for H3 as well as there's a clip which I'll post if I can grab it out of the news stuff here, where H3 has supposedly talked to another top 5 streamer on Twitch who is in the same situation because they're getting penny pinched and really Twitch is trying to take a big cut of their portion, even though they're a top 5 streamer. And they're also looking to close the deal with Mixer to move to a new platform. So both of those reasons are just, I mean, it looks like there's so many issues coming out with Twitch right now and lots of uncertainty, even with its top streamers these days.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Go ahead, AllFun. You have something to say? I
think that like Mixer honestly stepped up their game like a lot, because they could have either said, okay, they might have, I mean, I don't know what their, their area was like what they're kind of looking to do exactly. But I think that they probably sat there and thought, okay, we could either advertise a crazy ton and invest a ton in advertising, or we could just literally just grab like the top guy and just see what happens. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And they basically just took like pretty much every social media by storm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like it was so odd just to like see family members go, oh, I heard about this like Twitch streamer guy who, left. And I'm like, you don't even know that I'm on Twitch. What do you know what I mean? So it's just crazy. It's just crazy to see like how many people actually knew about it. And like, it was so weird to see like local newspaper have that in there. I'm like, this is crazy, So Mixer did like a great job on that side of things, and it's really weird to see Twitch not responding to like any of the, I mean, I don't know. Like, obviously, you see Twitch's response on Twitter saying, we wish Ninja good luck and blah 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 blah.
Oh, was there
and
one?
Then you see that. I've seen like I follow a few of the like Twitch partner approval people on there, and a lot of them were wish them good luck. That's not directly from Twitch themselves, right? But it's nice to see obviously that side of thing, but and then you see the other side where Twitch is like, like doing the, like he's in another castle situation and like using his thing. The one thing that you were mentioning before is how you can still see Ninja on the top because he's playing with like some of the top streamers out there. But it was actually crazy because I remember, this has kind of like on the same category. I remember that who was speaking of that, some of the Twitch ads were advertising other streamers. I think was it Dr. Disrespects. He was streaming Fortnite and somebody got an ad that Ninja was. There was like an ad that said like follow us on Fortnite and blah blah blah, follow Ninja, and he said something like don't ever do that again. I actually recently saw another ad that was like advertising people playing Fortnite again with different streams. It was very weird to see that all over again. So I don't know if they're kind of going back on their works. I remember Twitch responded to that saying we'll never do it again. We're very sorry for this, blah blah blah. So
well, I don't know. We covered it a couple months back now, I guess, because there were two big things. There was Ninja and Pokimane had advertisements put out on channels. And then Twitch came out a little while ago and made a statement basically saying, like, we understand why you're upset about this, but also it's our platform, so we can kind of do it. Now, they were nuanced about it, we won't directly advertise other people's channels on yours, but if it's a Twitch event, then we will, even though it's their direct channel. So it's a little bit murky. I kind of took it as basically, it's our platform. We can do what we want with it, and it's going to keep happening. And I mean, honestly, it makes sense in some capacity from their standpoint. I mean, if they want to drive traffic to a big event, then that's a good way to do it because people are already watching the platform. But I think that was interesting that Ninja is still on the top of Twitch playing with these other people all the time.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, I don't know if Twitch can turn around and go to its top Fortnite streamers and tell them like, you can't play with him anymore.
That's something people have talked about a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. Cause like at that point, cause like one of the things that it's a win on everyone's regard, right? Because the streamers on the Twitch side are just like, I still get to play with my friend and it's the dynamic doesn't change for any of their channels. Their audience is used to XYZ streamer streaming with Ninja and that dynamic hasn't changed. So it's all upside for them. The flip side of it though is if Twitch wants to go at Ninja's knees, they would go to their partners and be like, hey, maybe you don't play with him, and whether they need to incentivize or whether it's just like straight up spite, whatever works. But if they want to really like stick it back to him and take away, because like part of like Ninja's drawing power is the fact that he will be able to play with a Tim the Tatman or Dr. Lupo or like whoever else. And if you take that away, then like this is how like competition works. If you want to go after him, then you're going to go that route.
Yeah.
But it's such a weird dynamic right now because like, how do you do that? Or why would you do that is probably a better question.
I think there's no universe where you can do that, because just imagine the kickback you'd get from Twitch, as if there weren't enough already. I think that would be enough of a breaking point to see people leave Twitch altogether.
Exactly.
If they started controlling who you played with, how long you play with them, and if you even communicated with them, I think at that point you're kind of getting into a whole other ball game at that point. You know what I mean? Yeah, Twitch would basically just break a lot of rules, I'm sure, at that point.
I think in the end, what they're going to be doing is hedging it by not having front page features or as often, if they know that there is going to be a collaborative effort from those particular creators, though.
Oh, it's so tough though, because like I get that you don't want to promote him and you can just mitigate front page time, but the problem is Twitch's best streamers are the ones playing with Ninja right now. So the ones that they want to actually, what I was kind of thinking is you've seen a lot of Lupo and Tim, especially on the front page this week. And I think Twitch is probably starting to look at, okay, Ninja's gone. Like, who's going to be our new poster child? And they're trying to kind of see what's going to happen, who's going to play out. So I think that's kind of been interesting to see. Even the Booga guy, because he's just kind of hitting a huge spike right now.
I was hoping that what Twitch would take from this is don't put all of your eggs in one basket situation. Like, don't focus solely on one person, just like YouTube. They're not just like, I mean, I'm sure PewDiePie is like part of, the big part of YouTube, right? But when you watch YouTube Rewind, he's not included.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So it's like, so at that point, don't focus. They shouldn't really focus on one person. Maybe this will kind of teach them a lesson. Hey, if we make Tim the Tatman the next top guy on Twitch and we put all the focus on him, and then all of a sudden Mixer comes along and says, man, we want you, like, come over here, and he leaves too, then they're in the same and they'll just keep doing the same thing. I'm hoping that maybe what they'll take from this is let's spread the love out even further and offer multiple things to top medium streamers, whatever. I think that would be the better way for Twitch to spread the love across instead of focusing on one person, But I mean, I don't think they're going to do that because I'm sure, at this point, everybody kind of understands that Twitch is a little bit more about the money than it is about, anything else. But I mean, who knows how they'll take it from here, but
it's a tough spot. It's a live and learn because they've never had to go through this before. That's the big thing. Like, there's going to be so many elements that will come into play over the next little while in terms of how do we take this situation and be able to create new processes to avoid it going forward?
I mean, the great thing is it's really good all around for streamers, regardless of your platform, right? It's just going to either grow Mixer altogether, or more viewers will disperse down to Twitch, and more competition means better features on both platforms. So hopefully it'll lead to actually a lot of cool changes coming for streaming platforms. There was a question from chat, kind of a comment. Rainbow Coast said, I hope Ninja talked to Twitch about this before announcing it. Has he mentioned anything about that? I doubt he mentioned anything to Twitch, personally. I think he just blindsided them. And it seems like that's kind of the consensus from what I've seen. We can't know, but it seems pretty slap in the face to me. Okay. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I mean, like, you want the maximum amount of impact, right? If you give your previous, we'll call it employer for lack of a better term, if you give your previous employer like the heads up in such a public space, they can find ways to lessen the impact of your jump. The announcement and we touched on this earlier, the announcement and the impact, the ripple effect and an awareness was created because it was such a surprise. It's a whoa, moment. If word gets around, and especially with the way that like things work nowadays, if like word gets around early, then it'd be like, maybe. And then when it happens, you go, oh yeah, I heard about that last week. Yeah, it's fine. It's left.
And Twitch could do things to kind of mitigate that, right? Like, imagine they just take him off the following list or off the sidebar and you can't find him anymore. That'd be really interesting. So I don't think he would ever disclose that early, personally.
He might have had to contact Twitch for certain things. Like, if he had contracts to like do certain events and things like that, there's got to have been somebody that knew about it before, like other than him and Mixer, I'm assuming. If he had some agreement with Twitch to, for TwitchCon 2019, for example, like if he was going to have a panel there and at the last second he's like, I'm sorry, I'm not going to have a panel there anymore, I'm sure Twitch would have been like, oh, I'm just assuming anyways, but
yeah,
I mean,
well,
they did do a great job at keeping it a secret if they've done that.
That was surprising. Yeah, that didn't get leaked early.
Yeah.
Okay, there's a lot to talk about this topic. I kind of want to talk about Dr. Disrespect's thoughts later because he had some interesting thoughts from that similar perspective. But I don't want to take too long on this because I'm sure you guys have questions and comments for this topic. The next big thing that got announced, I think yesterday, was Twitch's own OBS studio. Came out of the blue sort of here. We don't know a whole lot about it yet. There was one screenshot that got posted and that little teaser video, which I will post in chat right now if you want to check that out. Basically, it sounds like a pretty beginner level OBS studio, but it's interesting because Twitch is building their own platform for it. So now you won't have to use a third party like OBS Studio, Mixer, I can't think of it. XSplit, thank you. Or Streamlabs, yeah. So, and that was really interesting. They made one comment that there'll be no pressure for anyone to switch to the studio app as they want streamers to use the apps that work best for them. But in my opinion, if you're making your own native app, then you're definitely going to take a chunk out of the market from OBS and Streamlabs because that's the actual platform, right? The reason that these things exist is because Twitch hasn't built them. And there's a whole lot of reasons, even like this true coaching stuff, like that exists because Twitch doesn't have its own coaching platform. Mm-hmm. So the fact that they've built their own OBS is definitely going to hurt OBS, really Streamlabs OBS, because I think OBS is free, open source.
OBS is free, open source, yeah.
Yeah. So it's really going to be Streamlabs OBS, maybe a little bit of XSplit. That'll take a hit here. What do you guys think about this? Have you been able to see it? Maybe Vel, starting with you.
I haven't, I don't know too much about it. Obviously, I've read a little bit of the article announcing it. It seems very beginner, which is awesome for anybody who's trying to stream because there's, a long time ago, if you got partnered on Twitch or whatever, you didn't even know how to apply to get emotes. They didn't know how to submit emails or anything like that. They're just making it easier every step of the way. Now they have tutorials on things. They have just the word is spreading on everything, and they're trying to make things easier for everybody. And one of the biggest things is I have no idea what to even do to start streaming. Well, if they're going to make it this easy for beginning streamers, it's going to take a lot of the questions out and a lot of the hassle and, even the anxiety of all this new stuff that because back when I started streaming, it was pretty much just OBS and XSplit, and XSplit was kind of not the greatest back then. But there's a lot of things that can just overwhelm you. And so this new thing for beginning streamers, I think is going to be awesome. It's definitely going to take a huge hit, from OBS and slots.
He agrees.
But yeah, right. But yeah, so for beginning streamers, I think this is going to be great. I think it's awesome because Slobs is supposed to be the easiest one right now, and I think this is going to be taking that over pretty fast.
Yeah, that's huge actually because Slob's whole appeal was that it's plug and play, right?
Mm-hmm.
But now you're even more plug and play because you don't even have to set up a Streamlabs account. You just set up Twitch and you're golden.
Yep.
So that's pretty big. And I know a lot of people have actually been sort of unhappy with Slobs lately for different reasons, maybe frame drops or more CPU usage than it claimed and all sorts of issues. So I think Twitch can definitely take a chunk. Again, they say that, use the apps you want to use, but you're always going to use the default one if you're brand new because it's the simplest. So pretty interesting. AllFun, do you have thoughts on the new Twitch OBS?
Somebody in chat actually just brought something up pretty cool, which was, I hope that they make it so it's less latency. You know what I mean? And that would be ideal. That would be the direct, because right now everyone's kind of oh, Mixer has that appeal of there's no latency. It's hey, how you doing? Oh, I'm good. You know what I mean? You're right then and there with the person that's streaming, right? So that's a great way of kind of looking at it. Obviously, Val mentioned, I'm logged into Twitch. Now I can actually learn to stream right away and know the guidelines on how to do it. It's like any company, right? You start a company and then other companies kind of feed off of you to make, your better your company better. But then eventually you go, well, we could probably do this and then, bring the profits over to us. You know what I mean? And so, because right now, I mean, you'll get all the, we have the topics to talk about Streamlabs after this, but, we'll fall back into this after, in a little bit, but it kind of goes back to why have another company do it when we can just do it ourselves kind of thing. So I think it's going to be interesting. I applied, I think you can just sign in for the beta or whatever. So I just want to see what it looks like kind of thing. I mean, I'm sure everyone's going to probably do that just to kind of see the difference. I'm sure there's probably going to be bugs and it's not as as user friendly as it is right now, but eventually it might kind of get pretty cool. But I hope that, yeah, the comment in chat was pretty accurate. I hope that they make it so it is, you know, a lot less latency.
Yeah. Do you think that's restricted by the client though, or the software? Because I feel like it's more of a server thing. Since
it is a server thing, yeah. I just don't know, like, because like I'm not too sure the difference between Twitch and Mixer, how Mixer makes it so good for, like, for interacting with users compared to Twitch. Like I never really understood that. I never like looked that much into Mixer to understand like what the difference really is.
Yeah, I think it has to be, you know, on their side, because you're still using the same software to stream the Mixer. So I don't think a software update alone, maybe, I don't know a lot about software, but maybe it'll speed up the process. I do think though that we will see Twitch push for that lower latency regardless, because especially now that Mixer is becoming a big threat, that's one of the biggest things people love about Mixer. I think they have to take that seriously if they want to compete and kind of stay on top and relevant. So that was pretty interesting. Do you guys know when the beta comes out? I guess you can sign up now for it.
Yeah, they don't have the announced date yet, at least that I could tell. Yeah.
Cool. Well, those are the two big announcements for this week. Then there was some smaller stuff that came out. First of all, a kind of interesting one. There's a streamer called Disguised Toast, who's he was a Hearthstone streamer, now is one of the biggest TFT streamers, that new game. He decided to remove bits and donations from his channel altogether, because I guess this is something that streamers used to say a lot. I didn't know about this, but some streamers will say, you know, once I've got enough money, I'll take those buttons away since I won't need it. He actually did it and took away his donation and bits buttons. He literally in the announcement said, go give to somebody else because I'm rich, which is kind of like sarcastic. But I think it's kind of interesting. What do you guys think about the idea of getting rid of those buttons from your channel? Locke?
I think it's a matter of how much do you need is probably the best question that he's probably asking. Like, Toast is a pretty young guy. He doesn't have a ton of overhead. He was actually featured in a Twitch-related documentary a couple of months ago. And they were talking about that, about how, like, at the time, he was just the guy that was in his room living with his mom. Then he was going out to, like, live in this, you know, gamer house and whatnot. So at the time, like, his overhead wasn't really that high. You know, so, and he's skyrocketed in popularity over the last probably about 2 years or so. So if you have like a magic number in your head, let's say it's $200,000 a year, okay, and in order to like pull that off, you're gonna need whatever it is. Let's say 4,000 subs a month. I think it's around there in order to like make that all like work out after taxes and whatnot. If you hit your magic number and you're consistent in your magic number, then do you need it? You know, and I'm not saying that you just stop it, but in his particular case, if he felt that he has hit this magic number and he can consistently hit this magic number through direct revenue, in this case, subscriptions, or through partnerships, sponsorships, whatever, then yeah, you know, I don't really see a problem with it. If he feels that that revenue could be best served in other streamers, or as he said, goes towards charity. I love that he like made that particular concentrated push, be like, hey, there are so many charitable organizations out there that this revenue could go towards, then I'm all for it, you know, because when I first looked at it, I'm like, I don't understand, like, how you just stop taking money, you know? And you're like, well, if you've got enough, or he feels he's got enough, then more power to him.
Yeah, I think it was pretty cool to see. AllFun, Velok, you guys have thoughts on this at all?
I kind of just agree that, you know, it's one of those things where if you feel like you've had enough and there's really no reason to take more in, you know, some people would rather just get back into the platform of I just want to stream and have fun. You know, I don't care so much about receiving all the funds in, right? Obviously, when people are trying to, you know, get their stream into full time and make a living off of it, that's one thing. But when you're past that point, way past that point, it becomes almost like, okay, at this point, you know, let me just enjoy the game that I'm playing. You know what I mean? So, and that could be what he's responding with. But I mean, it's pretty cool to see that, you know? So, I mean, who knows if we'll ever see that from other streamers as well, too, like top streamers, but.
Yeah, I think it was pretty cool, too, personally. All right, so that was a small thing. Another small thing that came out, so Streamlabs merch is no longer free to use, which is interesting. Now you have to pay for the Streamlabs Prime thing to use their merch section. That was a small little announcement that didn't get seen by a lot of people. I'll link that right here. Vel, I know you have some merch on Streamlabs, is that correct?
I use Teespring.
Oh, okay.
I've looked at Streamlabs before, and it just seemed really, really expensive for what it was. Like everything was marked up quite a bit as opposed to Streamlabs.
Right. So that's the trade-off now is I think it's not marked up nearly as much anymore, but the difference is you as a streamer have to pay like that monthly fee to use the service. So I guess that's what they were going for, but it just makes sure you guys know about that because it might catch you by surprise if you are offering merch and suddenly it's not available anymore. Nagata, AllFun, you guys use Streamlabs merch at all?
Yep.
Okay.
No.
I do, yeah.
AllFun, you have thoughts on this?
Yeah, so I mean, I think this is what I was talking about before when we were mentioning about, you know, Twitch starting their new studio and all that stuff, and then Streamlabs. You know, the Streamlabs, I don't even know how long ago they actually brought the Streamlabs Prime or whatever they did. Well, like how long ago did they introduce that? It was like a few months ago. It's not that old. But there's also other perks that you get from it as well too. But the idea is like you're in one central spot for everything that you need. But the thing is if Twitch is already offering that, and I think that's kind of what we eventually might see is kind of Twitch taking over that Streamlabs category of where, you know, maybe they'll sell merch, maybe they'll do a bunch of other things. But it does say that you're grandfathered in if you've already had the merch enabled on your side. It does say, though, if you do disable it at any point and re-enable it after, then you have to have Prime. So it's one of those things like if you already had free merch on your because it used to be free anyways before, and I kind of knew about this before because Streamlabs had 2 Discord servers. They had a public Discord server, and then they had a Streamlabs All-Stars server. Mm-hmm. And Streamlabs All-Stars is basically just like they send you a sweater, and you're part of like the special little niche thing that they talk about. And then they got rid of that, and they said, we're getting rid of this Discord server. We're going to all be in the same public server. And everybody kind of knew that something was going on. And like I said, this is kind of all part of that too. So, but yeah, I mean, like, I don't know, you know, I'm obviously it's kind of like a business thing that they're doing this for because they want people to pay a monthly subscription, so they have added revenue and all that other stuff. Because as far as I know, they don't really get anything off the top if people donate or anything like that. Like if somebody donates, they do get money. Mm-hmm. Oh, really? I've never even I guess I never even looked into that. But yeah. So.
That's kind of the core of the business. I mean, that's what they've had forever, right? Is the donation service, and then they just take a small cut of that. And that's where a lot of competitors have challenged them on how much they take from that cut and all that. But this is interesting because, I mean, we just talked about the OBS studio from Twitch coming out. That's already going to take a hit from Streamlabs. And now the merch section isn't free anymore. So they're kind of in a tough situation with this. I'll have to see what happens going forward. Last little bit of streaming news was, this is super minor, but Twitch added a undo and redo button for VOD editing. So go crazy, guys. Undo everything. I don't even know. Like, I do VOD editing a couple times a week, and I can't even think of a use for that, to be honest. But all right.
Yeah, I would love a on-the-fly clip editor, to be honest with you. Because there's a lot of folks that they clip your channel, or like sometimes like your own. I don't know if you guys clip your own stuff. I just leave a button on my stream deck. But it just grabs a 33-second clip, right? And for me, I would love just on the fly edit where I can be like, hey, I want it to be crop here. This is the clip that I want, and it just stays on the server that way. I would love that option. But I mean, it's more options. I'm sure that it's a very small aspect of the user base that will actually avail themselves to this tool, but got no downside as far as I can tell.
Yeah. More features are always nice.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So let's get into listener and caller questions. So if you guys would like to call into the show, you can type !calls, which I will do for you right now. You need to join the Discord and jump in the voice chat. We will pull you onto the show as soon as we have an opening. You get the priority as a caller. So you can skip the line. People just type in the chat. So you can do that way. If you can't get the Discord for any reason, you can still interact and give us topics and questions. Just give your question in the chat and at TRUgaming with your question. It could be about Ninja moving to Mixer. It could be about something for your personal channel. If you're dealing with branding or what game to play, whatever, let us know. We can talk about it. First question actually comes from Discord from this past week. And that is from, I think, Voodoo. Did I say that right? Yeah, Taboo. It says, how does someone get out of the lurker mindset on social media /chat rooms and learn to talk more in those places to make friends and grow their stream? So someone kind of brand new to networking, how do you get comfortable talking in Twitch chats and other chat rooms to network? I'll start with Vel on this one. What are your thoughts here?
So it's difficult because if you have a certain mentality where you just don't like engaging with people on social media, it's hard to force yourself to do that kind of stuff. The best thing you can do is just look for topics that you're interested in that you have some sort of feedback on, and just comment on those tweets, stuff like that. Go on Instagram, look up hashtags, just start getting into things that you're knowledgeable in and that you have opinions on, and then the rest of it will come easily the more you get used to doing things that you're already comfortable with.
So just kind of take some time getting used to it and jumping in to start with. For sure. AllFun, you have thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, I'm honestly 100% a lurker on Twitch. Like, I rarely talk on Twitch chats unless it's like something that, like Vel mentioned, like that's engaging to me, right? Social media is a little bit difficult because sometimes you find yourself not wanting to talk because you don't want to say the wrong thing on social media. That could then snowball into bigger things. So I can understand that 100%. But if you're looking to like make tweet outs or something like that and do things like that, focus on obviously promoting your channel or like positive stuff and kind of take it from there. But I mean, when it comes to Twitch specifically, what Val said, just find a topic to kind of go in on and kind of take it from there.
Yeah, I think also with Twitch specifically, I think if you're starting out with networking, you might feel like you have to promote yourself somehow, which is probably why I see a lot of it. Whereas really sometimes the best networking can just be just talking about anything. It does not have to mention yourself at all or streaming at all. It can just be talking about interest. Yeah, exactly. But I think if you're new to it, maybe you should be networking. So you kind of put that pressure on yourself going to a chat to kind of, how do I segue this into my stream or something? But really just talking and interacting and becoming part of that community is one of the best ways to network on Twitch. Nagata, what are your thoughts for Taboo? Taboo? Yeah.
I tell people this all the time, especially like new streamers that come through my own community, and because I tell them all the time, is if you want advice or like talk or whatever, just reach out. And the question comes up a lot: how do you network? And I said, well, how do you make friends? It's always the reply that I give people: how do you make friends? And they're just like, well, I find, and Val hit it on the head. It's like I find something that's in common, and then I talk about it, and it's like, okay, run with that. If you like to watch like Rainbow Six and you like Rainbow Six, then pop into a Rainbow Six channel and say hello and see what's going on, and just offer more often than not, like try to stay on the positive side of things, because the first thing you don't want to do is walk in there and then tell either the creator or the other people in the chat how to play. But by the same token, like, but like positive like reinforcement and just being a person in there. Like everybody talks about community all the time. That's what it is. Just walk in and be like, hey, I'm Nagata. I like Rainbow Six. What's going on, guys? And they're gonna come back in and be like, hey, welcome. And like that is quite literally it, and just speak to people as if you would speak to anybody in, and any everyday life, and they're gonna get to know you. And people are inquisitive on the internet. They're probably gonna click on your name and then see like, hey, what's this person doing? And because like an endorsement, a natural endorsement from somebody else going, oh, cool, you're a streamer. Or especially like if the actual streamer that you're in just like clicks on your name, like, oh, you stream too. That's like, boom, there's your win. That is going to go so much further than anybody ever listening to you say, oh, I'm going to go stream now, or oh, whatever, like fill in the blank. It's like it's an entirely like natural fit. So I tell people all the time, your best networking is just being yourself and making friends. That's it.
Yeah. One rule that I kind of live by as well too, as like a Twitch streamer, is never call out your lurkers. I even mentioned this like last time I was even sure. It's like, never call out your lurkers. Don't be like that. Don't be that person that's, you can choose to do your own thing, but some people are not ready to speak just yet on Twitch chat. And if you know that they're there and you're like, I know you're there, it's just going to make them feel awkward. You know what I mean? I've been in chat before. It's hard. Also, Cortez in chat mentioned something pretty cool. And it's pretty basic, but it's a good rule to live by, is let the game be the icebreaker. You're playing the game, somebody's interested in it. That's the key to kind of like get them talking and get yourself talking as well too.
That's your common ground for sure. Yeah.
One good, just one more little tip. Sorry, just something that I kind of learned over time is what basically if you go into a channel and you try to say hey, and the streamer's reading some of the chat, or like you see chat like talking to the streamer or just typing things out, and nobody's like welcoming you as a new viewer, like it might not be the community for you. You know what I mean? Like I try to stick to like, because a streamer's community will feed off of how the streamer is. So if that streamer is like a very welcoming person, the community will also be the same. So if you're trying to go and make friends and build connections, but like nobody's talking to you, it's probably because he just doesn't really connect with people the way that you're looking for, you know. So go into a channel, try to find somebody that, you know, like if somebody comes into, like, I know anybody here, if somebody comes into any of our channels and says, hey, what's up, a moderator's going to say hi, the streamer's going to say what's up, even viewers who've been there for maybe a few days will be very welcoming. So that's like a really good thing to look for when you're trying to make connections with people that are like-minded, that you know, that want to better themselves as streamers and want to connect and, you know, make friends on Twitch.
Right. I think especially when you're starting out, you need some channel that's going to react to you and respond to you, and not, you know, you'll go into some bigger channels and there's just so much happening that you're not going to get interaction. And if you're just starting out, you don't, being in those channels is not going to help you that much or teach you about networking and kind of how to do it right.
And it's pretty weird because like when I first started watching on Twitch, I was all into those gigantic channels. Like I was into the big streamers. And then as time went on, I'm like, I started like not enjoying those at all. You know what I mean? Because you never can really interact with the streamer themselves. So now I find myself always going to small streamers. You know what I mean? And it's just kind of like my thing. It's just really weird. And a lot of people mention that, you know, like I can't watch a big stream anymore. It's very hard to interact with a person. And that's like that's probably one of the number one comments that I get in my stream all the time is I'm glad that you're able to talk to me while playing this game. It's hard to interact with like larger streamers. I'm like, yeah, it's understandable.
Right.
Yeah.
And
I was to say, because there's some folks that like they live on Twitch just to like spam emotes. You know, like if you go into Tim the Tap Man, you say hello, you're not getting seen. You know, like you're not in there to have a conversation about, you know, Tim's new son. You know, like you're in there to either apparently donate scads of money or put a little cartoon in the chat and let the scroll by and watch him play any number of games. You know, like big streams are all like that. We're in the very same boat. When I first got into Twitch, I used to just watch esports events all the time, specifically like fighting game related stuff. And we have a term for the chat. We call them stream monsters because they have like, all they do is try to wreak havoc on chat at any given time. They just spam emotes or they spam like weird messages and like, that's it. There's nothing constructive involved. Once you've hit the 25,000 mark, you know, for like concurrent viewership, you know, it's like conversations out the window. You're there to watch or to, you know, join the mob. So yeah.
Something that Ryzen mentioned in chat is that you never address as lurkers, but you will say, I appreciate you all being here, especially you lurkers as well. I think just doing like a general call out is a good idea. And sometimes I can actually bring lurkers out to talk, even if you don't specifically address them. Just kind of saying like, I appreciate everyone who's here. Like I know Valak does this really well. I've watched him for a couple of years. And I think that just generally referring to people watching and appreciating them will sometimes be enough for lurkers to come out and talk for the first time. So that's a cool tip there.
One thing that I recently have done is obviously VIP spots on your channel. They give you like a lot of them, right? There's quite often that you're going to have like, I don't know the default VIP. VIP is basically a level below moderatorship. It gives you the ability to spam and post links and blah, 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 but it doesn't give you the ability to do anything too crazy or too drastic, right? And one thing that I recently have done is temporarily I'll be like, okay, is there anybody that's been lurking for a very long time that doesn't really interact that much? And they'll say, hey, it's me. Like I've been watching for a while, and then boom, I just give them VIP and then like just leave it be. You know, like that way they feel, you know, that way they get something out of it because they might not be interacting, but they're still always in the channel hanging out. And, you know, it's a pretty cool thing. I mean, you get a lot of spots for VIP. So it's kind of cool to have that. I've got a lot of like positive feedback from that. People saying, you know, I really appreciate, like people have DM'd me on Discord after just saying, I appreciate that. I'm sorry for never talking. I'm like, never be ever sorry for lurking in Twitch. Don't ever apologize for that. You should never apologize for that ever.
Yeah.
You know, but it's kind of a cool thing to just give to them, you know.
That's a cool tactic for kind of warming people up too, because if people get that badge, then they're going to want to show it off a little bit, maybe. And I think maybe that can be a good incentive to start talking and maybe become actual chatters after that. That's a cool idea as well. Not that you should do it as a cheesy mechanic to force people to talk, but it could be an added benefit for people.
Vectors in chat also brought up something which I think we get a question about all the time is I focus heavy on the game and then I feel bad for not responding in chat during that time. I think like during that time, like if you have a moderator in chat, hopefully they'll be able to talk for you or like somewhat kind of respond or help respond if possible while you're playing your game. And then as soon as you have a break or you have a pause or some moment in the game that you can respond, then follow up with the response, right? That's usually probably the best thing you can do at that point. It's really hard. Obviously, if you're just starting out on Twitch and you have no moderator there to do that for you, that's the tough part, because that is something that people look for. But
moderators are the saving grace of streamers. That can't be stated enough. Like Cortez is actually on this channel. He's one of my mods, and he saves me on a regular basis. So it's just like you need them. When you're starting out, very, very tough. But if you have, even like when, I don't know how you guys went about this, but when I first started, I just asked a friend who I knew was on Twitch. I'm like, hey, can you pop in every so often? I don't need you to do much, but just like be there. And they save you, they carry you in a lot of ways.
Can't confirm.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good point too from Cortez. Like, it may feel like you should always be interacting with people, especially after you've started streaming for a bit and you realize how important interaction is. But I think you also at some point realize it's okay to have periods of not interacting with the chat if it's just kind of understood that happens in your channel, or especially if people are there to watch the gameplay, then sometimes it might actually be better for you to focus on the game and then interact with chat after. So just kind of understanding what your channel is and creating that environment where that's standard, I think, is a big part of that. Yeah. We have our first caller, though, which is Friendly Neighborhood Vlad calling in once again. Ooh. So I want to get ready to add him here. I think he is ready to go. We'll see what he has to say this week. Our weekly call-in. Ran all the way from Russia. Vlad, you there?
There we go.
Hey. How's it going, man? How are you?
Pretty good.
Thanks for calling in. What do you want to chat about this week?
Out of uniform, so it's always nice.
Still looking good.
Oh, thank you.
So what do you want to chat about this week?
So I have one comment and one question. The comment is on the ninja subject. I think Twitch is going to be pretty healthy. I tweeted it to you as well.
Mm-hmm.
Tweeted it. Yeah, that sounds right. Twitch already has this amazing base. So, it's already teamed up with Amazon, which is a massive company. And then I just realized it the other day that Borderlands 3 is going to have a connection directly to Twitch, to where viewers can get loot along with the people that are watching if you connect up your accounts.
Mm-hmm.
So I think with a strong basis like that, Twitch is golden. It's like Twitch is McDonald's and Mixer is Burger King. Get all of your different flavors now. It's nice.
Sure. Yeah, the loots thing I think is not... I haven't really heard about the Borderlands thing specifically, but Twitch has been doing drops and mutual loot type things for a while. So I don't think that's particularly unique, but maybe it's more advanced than I realized. But
yeah, I'm curious to see it.
Yeah, for sure. Actually, that's interesting because people are boycotting that game now too. That's the whole thing.
There's a whole lot.
It's a lot. But you had a question too. What do you want to talk about?
So, as some of you guys know, I upgraded to having a PC. So I was originally a console streamer and was lucky enough to be able to upgrade to a PC. And I saw an interesting shift in viewership. Because on PS4, people would get notifications on their PlayStation when I would go live. So I had a decent viewer base just from people watching from their console. So when I upgraded to PC, those people don't get those notifications. But if they have the Twitch app, of course, they get the notification if they mark it. I was wondering if you guys have ever come across that, or if you have any thoughts or ideas on how to counteract something like that.
So I haven't actually heard of that. Is that, I guess, PS4 itself notifies you that a friend is streaming or something? Is that how that works?
Yes. That either your friend is live, or that's, forget what the other notification base is, that I'm going live as well. So it's like I'm on playing, and then also that I'm live.
Okay, so it's separate from Twitch. It's actually built in the PS4 kind of social system there.
I think so.
Gotcha. Cool. Well, I don't think, were any of you guys console streamers before you moved to PC at all?
I've done it a couple times, but nothing serious.
You're not on stream. Well, I mean, I have streamed console, but I was always PC based, like from streaming. Yeah.
Okay. Well, this kind of has some similarities to maybe switching games or kind of changing up your content. So starting with Vel, maybe what kind of advice do you have for Vlad here?
Yeah, so I have a question. Are you still playing Overwatch on, like, I'm assuming you switched to Overwatch on PC instead of Overwatch on PlayStation 4, right?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
I'm still playing my main 2 games, Borderlands and Overwatch.
Okay, so what about getting a stream deck or something like that, some sort of capture card, and then streaming still PlayStation 4 Overwatch, but going through your PC to have the better production value? And they'll see you go online on PlayStation. Maybe that'll be enough to at least draw some people over to your channel. You know what I mean? Like, they don't need to necessarily see the PlayStation going live notification, like broadcasting, but at least knowing that you're online, that might raise enough questions to maybe they'll go and look up your channel real quick to see if maybe you are broadcasting. And then, or you could, you do a couple streams, like if that doesn't work, do a couple streams still on your like off your PlayStation for, maybe a day or two each week, and just let those people know, like, hey, like, I'm trying to, increase the production value of the stream. So I'm trying to do this on the PC more, but you guys won't be seeing the notifications on the PlayStation. So if you guys want to follow me on Twitter or something, or if you install the app on your phone, you get the notification off of that. Just try to like move those people who only see your notification on PlayStation over slowly.
Yeah, actually, on that first point, Val, he could just turn on the PS4 while streaming on his PC.
Yeah, or you could just do that. Yeah, absolutely.
Same effect there, basically. Okay, all fun. Do you have thoughts for Vlad here?
Yeah, I mean, kind of just, let people know that you're migrating from PS4 to PC is your best option. That, I mean, honestly, I find that when you eventually decide, obviously, I don't know if you're going to be 100% switching over to PC or not, but Discord and like Steam, those are like big things for people to know that you're going live as well too. And Steam is a lot of people will actually prefer looking at Steam to know when you're playing a specific game as well too. So instead, if they're not watching you specifically on Discord or Twitch to see if you're going live, Steam is kind of like your PlayStation going live thing as well too. If they see you playing a specific game, they're going to assume that you're most likely streaming at that point, and then be like, okay, I really want to watch and play this game. So Steam is kind of, I mean, I'm assuming through PlayStation Network, it's your friends list, like you mentioned, that gets to see if you're live, right? So Steam is kind of like that. I don't think Steam actually tells you this person's going live, and maybe eventually it will. That'd be kind of cool if it did, I think. I don't know how they would integrate that. I know Discord can do that pretty easily, but Discord's like your best friend, I think, when you're switching over to PC, unless you've already had one before for console as well too. But yeah, definitely it's kind of interesting to like hear that, where people are like, I was streaming on console and I had more viewership because I had more people notified by that. So it's kind of cool to hear that side of things. But yeah, I think agreeing with Vel is, stream from your PC or stream from your PS4, get people knowing that you're going to PC, and then slowly go over. That way you're not just leaving and people are like, oh, maybe he just doesn't play anymore,
I think you should also know that with Discord in particular, if you're a console streamer, it seems like a lot of console players aren't very familiar with Discord because they don't really have often a reason to use it, since voice chat is built in. So that could be kind of a hard transition to get your PS4 viewers to follow you on Discord. I want to hear what Locke has to say about this as well.
And actually, in line with everybody here, it's an education and migration process. If you are under the goal or assumption that you would like to move to PC as your primary means of streaming, then it is just going to be education, reiteration, and you will see a trickling effect over time. There are going to be people that will outright not move. Just being realistic about it, they have their home. It's like Green just said. It's like some people don't touch Discord because they're console players and they have no reason to add an additional social network because they already have one in base. But yes, it's really important for you to just be very friendly about it, being like, you can't come in and just like, I'm on PC, move, but by the same token, it's just like, you may have to split your time for a little while and just let them know it's like, hey, I'm slowly moving over. Give them reasons why you prefer to move over, like how much you really enjoy the PC experience, or maybe you feel like your game is being leveled up as a result of the PC experience. Give them a positive reason to be able to relate to your migration, and your community will migrate with you.
And I think you kind of hit the nail on the head there in terms of there will be people who don't move with you. Even if you're very communicative, if you hit all the social channels, some people are just not going to move. But it sounds like you're making the correct long-term play here by choosing better stream quality and more control. I think that's going to be worth it. So I would just say kind of come to terms with that or accept that there'll be a dip right now. And because I'm assuming that you're not getting a huge amount of PS4 players. Like if you were getting quite a lot of PS4 players, then I think this might be worth considering even staying on PS4 or something. I don't know your numbers, but my thought is the ceiling on PC is going to be a lot higher than on PS4. So that's kind of what I would say about that. But Vlad, do you have any follow-up thoughts for anybody?
No, that was all pretty solid. I just recently got an Elgato, so I got that rocking and rolling. So I'll be able to play my PlayStation, but stream it through my computer. Still have overlays, all of that nice stuff. I think I'm also gonna post some info on my bio on PlayStation, because that's where a lot of people found my name if I was playing with them, so they could find me on Twitch. I'll put my stream schedule there as well, so they know when I'm on, so they're able still to hop on Twitch on PlayStation, but be able to find me at the right times.
Okay. I have a really roundabout question for you. So when you're streaming on PS4 and it sends that notification, does it send the link to your stream to people?
No, so...
Or does it just say that you're streaming?
It'll say I'm streaming, and I guess it's up to them if they go to the Twitch app on PlayStation and click on it and find it.
Okay. So here's a really cheesy idea. You could make a second account on Twitch and stream to that account from your PS4 so that people get that notification that you're live. But then from your PC, you stream to your real account. So people will get the notification that you're streaming on this channel for the PS4s and go check out the channel they already know. And they won't be able to tell a difference. That's kind of like a... Does that make sense?
I think so. So if I okay, let's quick hypothetical. I make second account, start streaming from the PlayStation. I'm using one camera there, and then
you don't even have to do anything with that PS4. You could literally just set your PS4 to stream to a second channel. Just keep it on, the startup screen or something. But then on your PC, you're streaming your actual game to your actual channel. So that way, people in your social channel see that you're streaming and go to the channel they're already following. Does that make sense?
I like it.
Now, there may be some nuances with like leaving a stream doing nothing for a couple hours, and maybe you could do something, I don't know, some sort of filler background or something. But that could be like a short-term solution to fix that.
It's worth trying. Why not?
Cool. Keep us updated if you do that, because I'm curious to see like if that works.
Should he be worried that if you go live on another channel and it's just broadcasting a link, that Twitch might kick it? I mean, I guess I don't think, unless somebody says something, like, would Twitch be against that? Like, I don't know how it would work.
Well, I mean, even if that channel gets banned, theoretically, it's not really his real channel. Yeah.
True. Yeah. True.
So I know this is like a very specific circumstance where I think that could be helpful. So it may be worth trying.
It's my streaming front. Just stream on the side.
Just make two fake channels. Twitch only banned one of them. Trust me.
We can still make new ones. Oh man, cool. Well, hopefully that's helpful, dude. I appreciate the call.
Yeah, you guys have a lovely one.
You too, man. You as well. We'll talk to you next week, probably.
It's stream laundering.
See ya.
Stream laundering.
I'm curious to see if that works. That's really funny, actually.
Both accounts partnered.
Yeah, basically. Okay, we had a question from GamerDad, who said, thoughts about some smaller streamers requesting Twitch affiliate status removed so they can switch over to multi-streaming across multiple platforms using Restream. Okay. So I guess some affiliates are asking that their affiliate status be removed so they can multi-stream. I haven't heard about this, but I guess it's happening. Some creative streamers are doing this and using Patreon for that financial component instead of a sub button. Interesting. And this is actually kind of cool to talk about given the Mixer situation. Like maybe you want to start laying the groundwork on that platform at the same time. Now the affiliate is a restriction.
Didn't Snoop Hogg do that? Where he had to remove his affiliate thing to do Restream?
Well, he didn't Restream. He just moved.
Oh, he just moved. Oh, he didn't actually.
And then he came back. And then he stopped streaming. So that's a whole different situation. But it's kind of interesting. And I've heard about, like Snoop had to at least get it removed. So I guess it's possible. Vel, do you have thoughts on this?
I mean, if it's something that you think you would want to do and have to deal with all the time, like then by all means do it up. But I mean, for me, I'd just rather keep it simple. That seems like a lot of things to have to worry about, you know, a lot of different chats. I don't know. I've never looked into restream or anything like that, but I don't know. It just seems like more effort than I would want to put into it. You know what I mean? Like I know what I have to do to stream on Twitch, and setting up another Patreon and like having people, oh, we have to go through this instead of, you know, everybody that watches me is watching me on Twitch. They can sub right from there if they want to. And, you know, it's just very, very easy for everybody. And I don't have to worry about multiple chats or anything. I'm sure there's probably a way to combine chats or something for you. But then if somebody's watching on Twitch, but then you're responding to somebody on Mixer and that person on Twitch doesn't see that message, they're wondering who you're talking to. And then, you know, like eventually they'll figure it out that you're restreaming or something like that. But it seems like it doesn't include everybody for all the viewers. You know what I mean? It makes it easier for more people to find you. Yeah. But as a viewer, I feel like it'd be confusing.
Mm-hmm. That's fair enough. AllFun, you have thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, you know, the whole restreaming thing, I've never really looked that much into it. I have seen things about it. Removing your affiliate status to do restream, you know, that's obviously a bit, it's not like I mean, sometimes, you know, when you first get affiliate, obviously it's a big thing, right? Like you're that's your starting of your Twitch, you know, career kind of thing, I guess, at that point, right? So asking to remove it and then try attempting to restream and then asking to have it back again is not, you know, it's not a bad idea, because you can obviously you're not going to know anything until you actually try it, right? So I think that's a big thing, and I think that's why, like I said, Mixer did a great job at this, because they've made it kind of inspiring to see other people that are like, you know what, I've done as most as I can with Twitch. I'm going to migrate over to Mixer and see how it works there, right? The thing is, with people who are partnered, that's I think a much bigger decision, because it's kind of like, if I decide that I want to go over to Mixer, you're kind of losing, you know, that you're kind of losing that this took a long time. Like, you know, sometimes it could take years and years and years to get partnered. You know what I mean? So if you decide one day I'm just going to do that, who's to say that Twitch is going to repartner you after they know that your decision was to leave them, right? So that's an even bigger decision. But I think it's one of those things where, if it was me, I would put all my focus onto one category and not try to focus on millions of categories at the same time. You know, and instead of being like, okay, I'm going to be streaming to Twitch and Mixer, I would rather just do one or the other, like Vel said, and just focus on something. Because otherwise you might be spreading yourself too thin at that point. And I don't know how it works with Restream. If there's multiple chat windows open, it might just be hard to kind of say, okay, you know what, I've decided that, kind of similar to the PlayStation PC situation. If you're streaming on multi-stream and you have X amount of followers on Twitch, and then you have X amount of followers on Mixer, and then all of a sudden you decide to go to Mixer, then you have to tell all your Twitch followers that I'm now going to be on Mixer, and you're gonna find yourself going, you might just find yourself going a little bit to be too overwhelming at that point, I think so. But I mean, in the end, it's up to the streamer themselves to make the final decision, for sure.
Right. What do you think, Nagata? Yeah, I figured.
But for the time being, Nagata Lock, your thoughts on this topic, maybe?
I can say whatever I want. No, the thing that I think a lot of people need to recognize with this particular situation is, how much is the feature worth to you? All right. So we'll say the three of us right now. The three of us are in a position where it is far more worth our while to stay on our platform with the audience that we have. Now, if you're an affiliate and you have your 3 viewers and no revenue, and you want to play with your friends on a regular basis through Split Squad, or what wouldn't be Squad, but it's like through Split plus Restream, it's probably worth your while, because you don't have any sacrifice at that point. There's no, diminishing return on your idea. It's just like, okay, well, I have a stream that isn't, we'll just call it what it is. I have a stream that's not making any money, and it doesn't have enough viewership in order for me to say, I don't want this feature. If I want to be able to play with 2 other friends in Apex across multiple platforms all the time, because for the fun of it, then more power to you. But the rest of the time, it just comes down to, it's like, okay, well, oddly enough, it's too expensive to split my audience. It isn't worth my while to split my audience when I can just be like, hey, You know, I'm here. Please come here and play with your friends off stream. You know, it's not like they're going anywhere. It's not like, you know, Apex or Fortnite or any of these games are going anywhere. It's just like you just play with them off stream.
Mm-hmm. So I apologize, I missed a lot of that conversation, but it was pretty
I
good.
just talked crap about you the whole time.
Yeah, that's what I figured. That's usually what happens around here. I had a quick thought on this though, from the creative side in particular. I know Patreon is much more a part of the creative community in particular.
Mhm.
So this could be kind of uniquely viable maybe for creative streamers. Now I think what you guys said is similar. You're still going to split your community in some sense, and you're probably never going to really grow as much as you could on one platform by trying to hit them all. But at least as a creative streamer, especially if you're making commissions and things like that already, that at least could be viable, I think, depending on what your goals are, because there aren't a whole lot of huge creative streamers that I know of. So I don't think that you're really going to be missing out on that much by choosing to stream to all platforms. But I think it's really up to you at the end of the day. I mean, if you want to diversify and just be on as many platforms as you can, you probably are fine that way. Especially because I think a lot of people who watch creative stuff aren't super diehard Twitch fans. They're kind of more interested in the creative stuff. So that could be cool just to get a lot of eyes on your stuff. But if you really want to grow a brand specific as a streamer and associating with creative stuff, I think it makes sense to just stick to a platform that's working. So
yeah,
kind of interesting.
I think it's, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt there,
Go
but I think and this is kind of like my personal opinion, if you just got a PC, you just got a camera, you just got a microphone, and you're sitting there going, what do I do? Where do I stream? Kind of thing. This is the perfect opportunity to try whatever you want. You know what I mean? You're in the perfect position to just like do what you want at that point. So in my opinion is, you know, if you find that if you do your research, don't just jump into streaming right away. Do your research and kind of see, you know, what platform you enjoy more. And you're in the, like I said, you're in a great position to try one or the other, right? I guess you kind of have a different avenue, but I mean, if it was me, I would definitely try whatever everyone's saying is try Mixer first. And then if Mixer doesn't work out for you and you find that, you know, it's not getting the ball rolling, then switch to Twitch. But yeah, like I think what you're mentioning about restreaming and then having Patreon as your main source of income, it's pretty interesting to see that happen, because I think that could definitely work out. I think that the only downfall about that is that Twitch, Mixer, and any, you know, I don't know about DLive, and so I don't really deal with that at all, but they offer like a really easy way for people to interact and not get something out of you know, donating or anything like that, but there is notifications that go off and stuff like that. So I think they make it an easy way for doing that. Patreon's kind of behind the scenes, which is kind of cool as well too. So it's kind of like, you know, you're not going to get I don't know, does Patreon have interaction with Streamlabs?
It does. Yep, there are alerts
okay,
for
so
that.
Never mind then. Yeah, I guess you could actually have that go off as well too if there's something like that. So it's kind of a cool avenue to take. I mean, I don't know, I haven't heard of any streamers do it, but you know, it'd be interesting to see how that works out for them for sure.
I know. Well, yeah, I know there are a lot of creative streamers who use Patreon as a big part of what they're doing. I don't know any that have actually removed an affiliate status to do that, but kind of makes sense, at least to me, the theory of doing it. So, cool. Good question, GamerDad. I think we're wide open for questions right now, guys. So if you asked a question earlier and we missed it, please just re-ask it in chat with @TRUgaming, or ask a new one or call in if you'd like to. I actually forgot to talk about a piece of news that we found minutes before starting the show. That's why I forgot to mention it. So there was an Ftc Loot Box Panel, which you guys have probably seen all the news about loot boxes lately. But interestingly, apparently, I didn't have time to read through the whole article, but it seems like there were some general statements that it's pretty accepted in gaming that companies will pay streamers to open loot boxes and give them better odds of getting good stuff out of those loot boxes on stream. So that was pretty interesting. I just put the article in chat. I know it's Polygon. There's some other articles out there, though, that kind of talk about this, and it's pretty general. But I don't know. What do you guys think about this whole loot box streamer loot situation, basically? Locke, do you have thoughts?
Don't game gambling is probably the best way to explain it. It's like if you have loot boxes, and this goes into the whole idea of like the various governments are just like, this is a type of gambling. That's something unto itself. But if you're apparently, it's not random, but like if you're like a mathematically set of circumstances to get a certain, whether it's legendary, it's epic, or like whatever else, and then you make adjustments on the fly. It's like unfair advertising practices. You know, it's just like when, you know, they had this big thing on Instagram a few years ago. It's like you have a bunch of like major influencers, fill in Kardashian here. And they have a product and like, I use this product every day, you know, and they don't use this product every day. They use it once. But it sends an impression to whatever it is, X amount of people on Instagram. They purchase this product as a result. And then the government steps in and they go, you need to put hashtag ad on these things so that they know better. It's the same. It's a similar situation here. Your companies, I don't have a problem with a company being like, hey, we pay X amount of money to a content creator to open loot boxes. But there needs to be a sense of transparency about this. You know, if you come in here and, Vel opens, 100 legendary items, I'm like, wow, I am so on board with this. And then I turn around and I get, something, sponsored by trash.com. Like, what am I doing with that? Like, what just happened? Like, where did all my money go? So
trash.com, that's where.
So it's like you have to be able to create a sense of transparency so that your viewership can make an informed decision about where their money is going. So, and I think that is the big problem that a lot of like government officials have, is like there's this thick veil over how the system works, and they want to be able to create more clarity across the board. So.
Yeah, I think that's fair. AllFun, you have thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, there's always controversy about stuff like this. There's websites that open up crates and you're gonna get like a Rolex from it. You know what I mean? So we've seen these things in the past, and it gets pretty crazy. But the fact of, if a company, I don't want to name any company, but obviously if like a larger developer ends up, people find out that a certain streamer is getting higher luck than other people, yeah, they're going to have a lot of problems on their hands. That's going to basically be, I'm pretty sure like that's got to be some sort of like illegal at some point, I'd assume. But I would hope that that's not happening. If a company came to me and said, Travis, I want you to open up 1,000 loot boxes on stream and see what happens, but we're not going to give you any extra luck, that's all fine. Like, that's 100% good to go. You know what I mean? Nobody should look at that and go, oh, well, yeah, they're just giving them 1,000 loot boxes for free. Well, that's fine. I don't think that's really an issue, because what's the difference between them offering you, the loot boxes versus offering you just some money to purchase those loot boxes? Do you understand what I'm saying? So it's like, I guess it's kind of like, people might look at it and say, oh, wow, that's unfair. How could they just give them like all that, to open up on a stream just to see what happens? You know what I mean? So I guess it really just depends. But I think I'm more so against the idea of one person getting 10% chance of opening up a legendary versus somebody getting a 0.1% chance of opening up a legendary. That's a huge number. And I think that's almost basically, tilting the table to their favor and basically making people think, okay, if I go to buy 100 of these loot boxes, I'm guaranteed to get something. And you definitely cannot do that.
Yeah. I think even if you don't have the increased odds as a streamer, there is something to be said about these streamers kind of shaping like younger audiences, what they want to do. Like, if a streamer gets 100 boxes to open on stream or something, then maybe some of the viewers feel like, oh, I gotta get 100 boxes because that's what Shroud did, that's whoever, right? And loot boxes themselves have gotten a lot of controversy lately. We talked earlier about the fact that Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo are all banding together to make developers disclose odds of loot boxes in the future. And there's already the FTC investigations and things like that. So this is before any of the weighted odds stuff came in with streamers. So they're already on thin ice. Vel, do you have thoughts? Sorry, go ahead, AllFun.
The cool thing about them disclosing that information, come to think about it, is that if Sony says, okay, for us, we're going to give you 1% chance of getting legendary, somebody else might come back and say, well, we're going to give you 1.5 chance of getting a legendary. And that could offer like some sort of weigh in on who's offering the better put up like.
You think like developers will change the odds of something between platforms? Like,
I think I'm just basically saying, like, for example, if Valve ended up saying, we're offering you, you open up a crate and you have 0.5% chance of receiving a knife, for example, on CSGO. And then, Battle.net said, well, if you open up a loot crate of ours, you're going to have a 1% chance of opening up a legendary. People might be more intrigued on putting all their funds towards Battle.net than on Valve because they might have a better output. I mean, obviously the big difference is on Steam. I don't know how it works on Battle.net, but I don't think you can sell your skins on Battle.net. But on for example, Steam you can. And this is kind of what I was thinking about a long time ago when Epic Games was talking about offering where Fortnite can sell skins and all that stuff as well too, right? Like put them on the market, I believe. But if that ever happens, it'd be kind of interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, for sure. Actually, also to go with this, I think it was earlier this week that Rocket League announced they're just getting rid of loot boxes altogether. So you are seeing changes like this across the gaming industry right now. Vel, do you have thoughts?
I've spent a lot of money on like CSGO crates and stuff like that. Because like you see like one YouTube video where someone opens up like 2 or 3 knives or whatever. You're like, holy crap, like I want one of these because some of them you can do cool flips with and it doesn't change how you play at all. But it looks cool and that's what matters because pay to win and stuff. But so I spent so much money on these stupid crates and got just straight dog crap every time. So I don't spend money on crates at all anymore because like I've always just assumed that it's rigged since then because I've spent, my wife isn't home right now, but I've spent like hundreds of dollars on CSGO crates and just wasted money just to get like the worst skins that you can imagine in games that I don't even play anymore. So I don't know. I think it's a scam in the first place, and I don't spend real money on that stuff anymore. Yeah, I just don't.
Vince and I were talking about the fact that this kind of happened before with Vince knows more about than I do, to be honest, with CSGO, with some streamers kind of owning some of these gambling sites and then revealing that they had the weighted odds during the streams. But now it's different because it's developers just paying streamers who aren't a part of the company and doing that. So maybe sometimes, like I wasn't clear if streamers actually know that they have better odds. They could just be thinking they're opening regular loot boxes, but behind the scenes, the company is kind of inflating things, That's where it gets a little, exactly. That's where it gets really kind of sketchy.
Right.
So it's hard to say. We might see more coming out about it. And again, I didn't have time to read through the whole article real specifically. It might be in there. I'm not sure. Okay, so I think we are pretty clear on questions. Small Panda asked why I always break things. I'm sorry. I do often break things a lot. If you guys have a question about streaming, though, we'd love to have it. Or about Ninja, maybe your personal stream, anything you're dealing with, just let us know at TRUgaming in the chats. Let's circle back around to the Ninja thing a little bit, specifically about the stuff that Dr. Disrespect said. So I'll grab his video really quickly if you guys want to watch that. And this was, again, pretty interesting because he's sort of at the same-ish level as Ninja with Twitch. So he had some really interesting thoughts given, like, how much was he getting paid? Like, why did Ninja make this move? Some of the things that I thought were really interesting that he talked about were that he thinks long-term this might hurt him a little bit in terms of his brand, but it also makes a lot of sense for a lot of reasons right now. First of all, he was saying that he kind of thinks, if he's Ninja, he's kind of done all he can with Fortnite. I mean, he's been in New York City with Times Square, streaming there. He's been to Red Bull. He's done stream with Drake and streamed all the Red Bull stuff. So he's done a lot of stuff with Fortnite, and there's probably only so much more he can do at this point. So having that kind of locked in deal for 2 years is really nice to give him that freedom of not worrying about it. He also talked about the fact that right now, like we said earlier, there's a lot of stuff happening with Twitch beyond this that are problems. So it was kind of smart of him maybe to get out of that a little ahead of it. And also, if you are a smaller streamer or kind of a medium streamer, Mixer's looking a lot better right now, is what he said. If I'm on that place, I'm definitely looking at Mixer a lot more seriously. And I think that was most of the things I got. Did you guys have a chance to watch through that, or maybe just kind of your thoughts on the overall situation, Vel?
Yeah, I thought it was interesting that he kind of hinted that he may or may not have gotten, some sort of offer to have that somewhat of that deal a few months prior. Like he said, he couldn't get into details or anything, and then it skipped forward to him talking about like what if a couple months ago like I had the same offer, so like. That's just another confirmation, almost not a total confirmation, that they are going for the top tier Twitch streamers because they are trying to make a huge move. And I do agree with Dr. Disrespect. I think that it was a smart move for Ninja. I mean, with all the negativity that Ninja's had to deal with on Twitch, as far as like huge waves of people, canceling their subs for him because they think he's making too much money, and all the criticism that he gets for everything. Like, he can't even give his opinion about something without somebody criticizing him in a very, very negative way. And I think him switching over to Mixer is honestly just a great idea. I think it's going to give him kind of like a fresh start. Hopefully it'll push him away from the negativity a little bit. And I think Dr. Disrespect hit it all on the head that it might not be the best fit for Dr. Disrespect, but for Ninja and his brand, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I don't know. I actually think he may be somewhat likely to move there soon. This goes back to the H3 podcast because my little tinfoil hat thing here is Doc was on the H3 podcast a while ago, and I think the only streamers they've had were Ninja and Doc, and then Ethan from H3 says, I talked to a top 5 streamer. He's very interested in Mixer, looking to close a deal. The only one he's had on the podcast is Doc. So that's kind of my theory, though. And also the fact that Doc keeps talking about how bad Twitch is, how like this is a great move from Ninja. So I don't know.
That's true.
That's my deduction, but I could be wrong. AllFun, you have thoughts on Doc's perspective with this?
I didn't get a chance to watch the video. I just saw like the pointers that you put up there. If I was a bigger streamer on Twitch, like one of the top tiers, I would be hinting. I mean, even if I wasn't getting offers from Mixer, I would be, just hinting at it, because if Twitch is watching all their top streamers closely, and you're a top streamer, and Twitch hears things like, oh, I can't say if I got contacted by Mixer, but if I ever did, the option's there. Twitch might look at that and say, let's just lock him in. You know what I mean? So it's could be one of those things. It could be that he actually did get contacted by Mixer. Nobody will ever know until it actually happens. But I mean, who's to say how much funds Mixer has from? I mean, obviously it's backed by Microsoft, but who's to say how much funds they have to go out there and offer contracts to these high-end streamers to come over to their platform, right? So, but it's definitely interesting to see, like, if he does end up doing it, who else is going to follow suit after that? Because I mean, at that point, they're just poaching people from Twitch, right? And then it becomes kind of like it kind of becomes like who's next is like the real question, right? Or maybe it's not going to be anybody. Maybe Ninja just opened up the floodgates for other top streamers to come over to Mixer as well too, right? But I mean, if I was in the top tier position, I don't think I would ever leave Twitch for that. I mean, Ninja leaving because he's had his fill of Fortnite. Honestly, I'm sure Ninja at this point, unless he's doing something crazy with his money, is probably sitting on quite a bit of funds, and to last him quite a while. So if it is a $10 million deal or whatever it is, we'll find out. I don't know if we'll ever find out. I'm not too sure how it works with releasing information like that. But it'd be kind of interesting to see what he ended up getting paid for it. But I think that, like, no matter what, him moving to Mixer is kind of a cool idea at the same time, because now he's saying that he's going to restart his stream from the ground up and being able to interact more. But who really knows if that's obviously just like a PR kind of thing, right? I think he's just saying that. It's not like, oh yeah, I don't know, maybe he actually means it, we don't know. But
like that's one thing that I am not sold on, is he mentioned in that video, I'm getting back to my roots of streaming, right? And then a lot of people have said, he's going to Mixer because Halo, he's the Halo guy, right? There's a big Halo play. Like, personally, I don't think he really cares at all about Halo with this deal. He cares about the money and the reliability and all that stuff. Halo is like a nice little cherry on top, but I don't think that's why he made this move. Nagata, you talked before about, if this is going to work for Mixer, they're going to have to make kind of a groundswell, right? Of multiple people, and no one streamer is enough. Now, Ninja's the biggest streamer. What are your kind of thoughts given this whole thing?
It does go back to what I was talking about earlier, and it's, if you look at the metrics for Ninja already, it's very telling, right? So they migrated, or Ninja migrates over. He's picked up, I want to see, how many followers does he have right now on Mixer? Does anybody have a number? I'm
not sure. I just had the picture of his stat trend in terms of viewership.
Well, his stat trend at this point, I think he's averaging about, did he hit 1 million? Still says 1 million. All right, so 1 million be right. Okay, that's about right, what I figured. Because like his follower count on Twitch was about 14. Okay, and Mixer's literal like entire population is nowhere like close to that. But his viewership is about 20,000, and he was averaging about 30 to 35,000 when he was on Twitch on like any given time. So he's about even. All right. So his move, I don't think his move is going to hurt him at any point. You know, right now we're at this point with him where it's just like he got a significant deal. Nobody really knows the details. Like I saw a tweet from Tom Warren, who's like a senior editor at The Verge, and he used the term 50+ million. And
Wolfie,
like,
that was, I saw that too. There was no source for that.
yeah,
Right.
there's I'm just like, where do you get that number? And it's like,
Mhm.
if he had a number that said it was a 5-year deal, I could wrap my brain around it, you know. But even still, it's just like, it's almost like sports. I don't know how often you guys like follow the business of sports, but it's like you have a deal, except that there's X amount of money, X amount of guaranteed money. Is there an opt-out clause? Is there a no trade clause? Is there, you know, all sorts of different stuff going on? And nobody knows what is happening with Ninja, aside from the fact that he made a jump. It had to be for a number that was worth his while, significantly worth his while to make that jump. But it can't hurt him. He can go to Mixer and he can bomb, all right? And then he can come back to Twitch at any given time, talk to 4 friends, be like, it's the return of Ninja stream. And it's like, you know, and then it's like, you're right back where you were, except that you're up $10 million. You know, so yeah, big loss,
Yeah.
big short-term loss, you know? So I can understand where Doc is coming from in wanting to like plant seeds, or like he has like a marketing arm behind him, like CAA is behind him. Like it is in his best interest, like as if you were to see like any like pro athlete and they're an unrestricted free agent. You know, it's like, I'm going to every city in baseball. You know, it's like, well, sure, because every city in baseball now has a general manager that thinks they have a shot at you, so they're going to come for you. You know, and like Twitch is in this boat now where you have, let's say, Lupo, Shroud, and Tim and Dr. Disrespect, you know, and they're all going, maybe, you know, and we touched on earlier about how like Twitch is relatively like tight about like revenue splits and things like that. It's like maybe they don't, you know, offer them a huge money deal. By the same token, maybe we loosen the restrictions a little bit. How can we make you happier?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's like you don't necessarily need to roll up a Brinks truck, but you do need to find a way to incentivize your top of the food chain to stay on your platform.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so everybody's in this like, it's the best time to be a top creator is probably the best way to explain it. You know, it's like Ninja has opened a door and has opened a lot of eyes. You know, so the top is now in a better negotiating position, and like competition is always good for everybody. If you're on the bottom of it or mid-low or anything like that, like for me personally, like I looked at, like I stream Dragon Ball, like I stream Dragon Ball all the time. I went to the Dragon Ball section and it's barren. You know, there's a couple of folks there, but it's like in my head, I'm like, this would be fascinating because it's like, do you want to be the big fish in the small pond of your section? You know, or do you want to be, you know, like a mid-sized fish in the biggest, you know, ocean? You know, weird metaphors. Anyway, bottom line is that like it's opened up a lot of possibilities for everyone. The top's going to be able to negotiate well, and the bottom is going to have a lot more viable possibilities than they had beforehand.
Mm-hmm. And it's also going to put pressure on the streaming platforms to make better features for the smaller guys, right, or the medium guys. Even if you're not someone who's negotiating directly with Twitch about your contract or X streaming platform, they're still going to try and make the platform overall better for everybody. So it benefits all the users and viewers for sure. It's pretty cool. Also, I totally forgot. There's so much news this week. I forgot about the whole breastfeeding thing. Did you guys hear about that? Going around?
Heard
The what?
very small.
So okay, there was let's see if I can tell this right, because I didn't actually do the research on it, but from what I understand, there was a streamer who at one point was breastfeeding on stream. She got banned for it, and then put out this Twitter tweet about like, why is this against, why did I get banned for this? This isn't sexual. This is just a normal human function. It got a lot of traction, and then Twitch actually sent her a message saying, we reviewed your ban and we actually agree with you. We think breastfeeding should not be against TOS and it won't be going forward. So that was a big reveal over the last week, and a lot of streamers have kind of given their thoughts on that. I'm curious what you guys think about the whole situation. Now, this is a panel full of men, so this is maybe not the best week for this, but I think we should at least mention it because it was a pretty big deal that got announced. Vel, do you have thoughts?
I don't see anything wrong with it. I mean, it's something that obviously needs to be done. Like you can't just be like, baby doesn't get to eat, I'm streaming. That's ridiculous. You know what I mean? If it's something that bothers you, like really, really bothers you, just leave for a couple minutes. You know what I mean? Like, you're an adult probably, or you're at least able to make your own decisions because you hopped onto Twitch in the first place. Just give it a couple minutes. Like, if you don't feel comfortable watching that, there's nothing wrong with that at all. Just go do something else for a couple minutes, mind your own business, and stop complaining about other people. That's honestly all I can really say about it. Just because people who get offended over nothing that's not even their business is irritating.
Gotcha. AllFun, you have thoughts on this?
I'm gonna completely agree with Val, like 100%. Like it's one of those things where just, you know, go do something temporarily while it's happening and come back after, kind of thing. You know, there's really no use sitting there complaining about it, and it's gonna happen and it has to happen. It's, you know, it's I mean, part of life, right? So I completely agree with Val on that for sure.
Yeah, I should actually mention some of the thoughts on it too, probably from people. Once it came out, there was a lot of different opinions. Some people saying, like you guys do, like it's just a natural thing and it should be totally fine. Other people are saying, you know, certain streamers will abuse this and try to use this as a way to get around doing things they shouldn't do on Twitch. Other people, women too, saying, I'm a mother and I would never do this on stream because you can just walk away for 5 minutes and come back. So there's been a lot of different opinions on this. Locke, what are your kind of thoughts overall?
I got two thoughts. One, mom's got a mom, so that's about it in terms of like on product. And the other half is, yes, people will 100% attempt to game this in a negative way. And I don't think anybody should be punished for it right now. I do think that it's on Twitch or whatever platform to be very vigilant in monitoring how people will attempt to game. But at the present time, no, you can't hold it against a mother for taking care of her child. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see what happens now this has been announced. I think it does open a whole can of worms in terms of potential for abuse, or I don't know, people doing certain things they shouldn't do on stream, or maybe things that are cool on stream. So we'll have to see what kind of comes out over the next couple weeks and months post this decision. But just thought we should mention that because that was pretty big news. I saw some questions I want to make sure we get to. So Ramikos asked, now that TwitchCon is around the corner, how do you guys go around about networking in these types of events? Is it just there's some typos, sorry. Is it just easy to deal? Okay, I'm trying to read this. Ramikos, you gotta word your stuff right, man. Is it easy to go around and talk to randoms, or is there a specific tactic you use if you have one? Okay, so general tips for TwitchCon, or probably any conference. I know Vel's been to TwitchCon. AllFun and Nagata, have you guys been to TwitchCon before?
Nope. I was gonna go this year, but my plan has changed. I'm going next year 100%. So
okay, Nagata,
it'll be my first this year.
Okay, cool. So Vel, you've been to 2 so far. AllFun, Nagata, have you guys been to other conventions maybe where you can network in the past? Nagata,
yeah, I have, not to like where people are walking up to me, you know, but I'm kind of walking up to indie developers and talking to them directly. But that's about it. Yeah.
Okay, so there's some experience there networking though on the floor. I'll start with Vel then. So what are your kind of tips overall for networking at TwitchCon, or maybe just cons specifically?
Okay. So if you already have like kind of connections on Twitch, you have it a lot easier because you can just set up little meetups with people. You know, if you have people that watch your streams a lot, you know, you can set up a little meetup with them if you need to. That's something that if I do go this year, I definitely want to set something up like that. The first year that I went, you know, I went with TRUgaming, and I didn't really have too many connections to meet up with at TwitchCon. So what I did was I would trap people essentially, and like I would go in a line and I would just sit there for a second, and then I'd like just look around me, just wait for something to, you know, comment on, like, hey, your shirt's cool. By the way, what are you doing here at TwitchCon? Tell me about your stream, all this kind of stuff. Because like they're stuck in that line with you. Like they're not going to just like cold shoulder you while you're standing right next to them. You know what I mean? So they're kind of forced to talk to you, and it breaks the ice for you towards the mentality of, you know, talking to people that you don't know. And it kind of like it opens them up to the same thing. You know, like if people want to talk to them, they'll open up and like they'll probably be more friendly with you. You know what I mean? Just be your, like for me, I'm pretty goofy and I like to, you know, kind of make people uncomfortable sometimes, but in like a nice way. So like, I know last year at TwitchCon, I was having lunch with Dan the Dapper, and like they had this huge food court, and I was like trying to wave at Dan, you know, and because he was like looking for the table that we were all sitting at, and then some other person waved and just did their thing. I'm like, well, why don't you come have lunch with us? And I still kind of talk to this person, you know, like we host and rate each other every once in a while on Twitch, and you just build connections off of just being yourself. Like, you don't need to, you know, take it so seriously. Like, just have fun. You're there with a bunch of people who have the same things in common as you do, who just want to be there and, you know, express themselves and talk about Twitch and be nerds and just be awkward and goofy together. You know what I mean? So just be yourself and just make friends. That's all it is.
Yeah, I think that last bit's really cool too, in terms of not putting too much pressure on yourself going to a con, especially if you're a streamer, feeling like, oh, I gotta network really well, I gotta learn all these things, I gotta meet all these brands, get everybody's cards, and really just kind of experiencing it naturally is great. Because I really don't think, we've gone to TwitchCon for 2 years now, and I don't think you should go to TwitchCon with the expectation of growth coming out of TwitchCon specifically.
Yes.
It's really more of just to meet people naturally and kind of celebrate Twitch as a whole. I think if you go into it with too much pressure about meeting brands and networking and whatever that means, then you're going to kind of lose the fun of the event and actually get less networking done in the long term than if you just kind of enjoy it. So, AllFun, you've been to some conferences before. What are your kind of thoughts about networking, or maybe you're going to TwitchCon next year? You have any thoughts about what you would do going there?
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. Like, I mean, I'm really excited to, hopefully some of my viewers can actually like go there. They're pretty excited about that as well too. So kind of meet them in person. I mean, when I went to Montreal Comic Con, they had like a gigantic indie developer like area there. And that was pretty cool. I mean, I only spent maybe like an hour or so just like walking around looking at the different games that were going to be like in development and stuff like that, and betas given out. So that was kind of cool to be able to talk to them and do that. But yeah, I don't think I would go to TwitchCon in the mentality of let's gain some followers while we walk in here. You know what I mean? This is going to be my follower dream kind of thing. Like, it's not going to be like that at all, right? I've never been to a TwitchCon. I've never really looked too much at it. You know, you see kind of like the blooper reels of like PewDiePie like doing like TwitchCon, 2016 and stuff like that. That's kind of that's pretty much the gist of what I've looked at, right? But no, it's gonna be interesting. I'm really excited to hopefully meet a lot of people. I mean, if you guys decide to go there as well too, it'd be definitely pretty sweet.
Awesome. Yeah. Nagata, again, you're going this year for the first time, and you've been to some conventions in the past. What are your kind of thoughts on this topic?
It's split. If you're looking to deal with brands, then do your homework. Is the first thing before like going in. Don't go on the floor, I'm not going to give any names, but like if you see a brand that you really, really like and you don't know what they're about, you don't know their latest products, you don't particularly even use their product, but you want to use in the future, then you're just dead in the water before you even start. So like the reps for these companies want to know that you are invested in their product before they could potentially be invested in you. So do your research. And then like people talk about like 30-second pitch and all that kind of stuff. That's something unto itself. But do your research when it comes to brands. The rest of it, though, when it goes back to what we were talking about earlier about not being a lurker on a stream and how do you network on Twitch, the same rule applies. If anything, it's even more so in person. Go out, see people, make them awkward in a lineup, and say hello. Like Twitch is the giant icebreaker. Everyone's there for a purpose, for that purpose. They're all here to celebrate Twitch one way or another, no matter what kind of stream you have or where you are in the pecking order of things. You all have a true commonality in being there. So it's just go in. If you see somebody, say hello, just try to make friends. And the one thing I do recommend for people, though, have a buddy. If you're solo, it makes things it doesn't make things awkward, but if one person comes up to you and just like strikes up a conversation, it's like, oh, it's nice to meet you. But if your conversation drags on so long for a person that you've never met before, and there's no one like to play off of, you're like, oh, that's great, and like it's like I have to go now. So it's like a buddy system just allows you to like you have like a safety net. It also allows you to bounce off of each other rather than have like an awkward first speed date. So just like just bring a friend and just go and just enjoy yourself. Don't put pressure on yourself to have like some kind of like set goal in mind, because the whole experience would be lost on you. My first PAX was like that. I was very like goal oriented, and I came out of it being like, this sucks, and then went the next year and it was just like, I'm just going to have fun. And then it was way different. It's just like, you're more loose and you're just more friendly, and like, it's an entirely different experience for you.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of that. I think having a buddy does help a lot, because then you can kind of go up to people a lot easier, not just by yourself and maybe get drained out really quickly. I think also you mentioned that Twitch is the icebreaker. That's really cool because you can always just start a conversation with something about Twitch, because everyone there is either a viewer, a streamer, or at least just knows about Twitch in some capacity, which is really cool because you don't get that anywhere else really besides Twitch. So that's really fun. On the topic of working with brands, I think it is good to prepare for like big brands, like you said, do your homework. If there's a big brand you know is going to be there and you want to try and get in the ground floor with them, you should know that being at a conference is a lot better for networking than trying to do it via email or social media, whatever. Just being in person, you can't beat that. So that's huge. But I would also mention that at least the TwitchCons we've been to, there's always a lot of new kind of startups or smaller companies that you either can't find on the site or just never heard of. And I think you should always be open to just going to meet some of those companies because they can end up being really cool. We found some really cool stuff there before, like Lightstream was there last year. That's now become a little bit bigger. There's always some really cool kind of niche companies that are doing cool things. Even charities are there. And I think just walking up, I know nothing about your brand. What do you guys do? Like that can be good in some situations. But if you do want to go after a certain brand deal that you're really passionate about, then like Nagata said, I think doing your homework is very valuable. So cool question. I appreciate that, man. All right, it's 12:50, so we have time for one more. Actually, British Avenger is calling in. So we'll end it with British on a call here. Let me get him in the call. He's the other weekly calling usually, so we'll see what he has to say this week. British, you there?
Yeah, hello.
Hey man, how's it going?
Doing good.
Thanks for calling in.
Before my question, I want to add on the whole breastfeeding thing, because I noticed you might have just missed out one thing. Like, I just think it's natural, and like, if you hate it, walk away. Like, there's nothing stopping you or whatever. But there's only one problem is like, of course, like underage kids. That's the only one thing I see a problem with it. Like, I don't know. I kind of feel like it could be bad for like kids, like, you know, being exposed to that.
You're making me think of one argument I did see actually from people is the idea of having this clipped live on stream and then used like years later in school or something. That was kind of weird to think about. But so you're just talking about from kids watching the stream though, right?
Like, I'm just like thinking like what if like a kid like, you know, saw that on stream and like he could be like bad, like exposed to that in a bad way. That's the only way I'm trying to like look at that.
Okay. Vel, do you have thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's necessarily anything like it with the context of what that is, you know, as long as the person's not abusing it. I don't really see anything wrong with it. I mean, it's the same as like if you go to a restaurant and, you know, you see that like it's not anything that's intended in a certain way. It's not anything that really should be perceived in a certain way. And I can see, you know, like a kid like joking around like, oh, look at this, ha ha ha, or something like that, like really immature stuff. But I mean, I don't really see anything terribly wrong with that. You know what I mean? It's just I don't know. I guess the only way I can really describe it is that it's a part of life and it's something that needs to happen.
It's fair. AllFun, you have thoughts?
So I was actually just briefly reading about it. One of the controversies that they had was people were saying that they say that they're okay with it, but apparently they removed the VODs and the clips from their Twitch the Twitch channel. So I don't know if their idea is they don't want people going back and replaying the clip. You know what I mean? To kind of, because I mean, if it's one of those things where, you know, if somebody's naturally doing it, but if somebody's abusing it and they're like every day at 1:00, you know, tune in, I'm going to be, you know, that might be. Well,
that was actually a joke. It's like sub only streams. People were saying,
yeah, you know, so I think so, like, you know, I think somebody might you know, obviously if somebody decides to abuse it, I'm sure they're going to get a lot of slack for that.
Vel's
Bell's
dying.
like broken.
Bell is dead right now. Oh
But,
my God.
But yeah, so I mean, I see what you're saying, Avenger. I think that people got to understand too is like when you're on Twitch, like depending on what you're doing on your channel, you know, for example, on ours, you kind of agree that you're 18 plus when you click on certain channels too, right? So that's another thing to understand. If you're on like a family, I don't know how it works with Mixer. That was one thing I was going to actually ask earlier on Mixer. You see family friendly, you see teen friendly, you've seen 18 plus friendly, right? So that's like another category that I think kind of integrates with Twitch as well too. Is if you're a stream and you're doing stuff like that, you might have to categorize yourself as an 18 plus or at least 13 plus. I don't know exactly how it would work on Twitch for sure. So
that's another thing we forgot to touch on. Is there's so much this week. People were talking about Mixer restrictions on clothing and things. That was a whole Twitter conversation this week. Nagata, you have thoughts for British Avenger here though?
Yeah, the way they look at it is that you can't place the onus back on the mother or on the platform for the actions of an extraordinarily small minority who may or may not abuse it. It's out there. The mother is going to take care of her child, and the mother could take care of her child, as Vel said, in a restaurant. She could be on a park bench. She could be anywhere out in the world, and it can be seen. So she's going to take care of her kid. And how maybe underage kids come across it, you know what? One parent's got a parent, let another parent. You know, it's just like see what your kids are doing, how they're interacting with the platform, and, you know, talk to them accordingly or parent them accordingly. But I don't feel that you should be putting a negative onus back on a breastfeeding mother because, you know, kids may or may not abuse it.
There's a lot of things on Twitch that you can argue kids should or shouldn't be seeing. I mean, that's just the nature of the platform and live streaming. So I think it's, like you said, unfair to put all that blame on the streamer when really it's, should the kid even be on Twitch in the first place at that age, you know, situations like that. British, you have any follow-up thoughts?
Like, what I was trying to say is, like, I'm not saying it's wrong or, like, it's, like, a technically bad thing, but I'm just, like, you know, it could be worrying that, like, if the kids does see that and, like, it happens, like, he tells or she tells, like, the parents, it, like, you know, it could just kind of have, like, a kind of bad rep on Twitch, but not, like, you know, massive.
Sorry, she tells what?
Like, if the kid, like, let's say, like, they saw it on stream, right? And, like, let's say the kid doesn't like it or whatever, tells the parent, then of course the parent gets wind up. Then, like, it comes from multiple parents, then, like, basically reporting Twitch for this.
So the parent of the kid watching, that's what you're saying. Okay. That's where I was getting confused. I mean, again, I feel like that same situation is going to happen with a lot of stuff on Twitch. And I still think it's ultimately the responsibility of the parent to parent, like Nagata said. So, I mean, if your kid's on Twitch watching stuff they shouldn't be, then that's not Twitch's fault, you know?
Yeah.
So it's a tough situation there. Anything else?
Can I add a question?
Yeah.
Separate.
Quickly.
So last I talked about it was about, like, how my content was. And of course, like, I'm trying to go towards, like, coaching, education, towards Siege. And I feel like I only can go so far with that before, like, hitting a dead end, before I need to, like, maybe go into another game or, like, maybe, like, do something else, because you only can, like, coach and, like, teach, like, players up to a certain, like, standard or certain stuff before you have to change.
And so you think there's, like, a limit to how much you can coach them, basically?
Yeah, basically.
Okay. Nagata, do you have thoughts on this?
I don't want to be abrupt when I say this, but I don't agree at all.
I agree.
You can take the best players on the planet still have coaches. All right. There's always something to learn. There's always new avenues and aspects of a game. These games are patched on a regular basis as well. You have to be able to make adjustments for them. There's no limit to education ever. You know, it is, I think that it is important to understand that you, as an educator, may feel that you've reached a cap, in which case it would be back to you to do more research, to go back into the game itself and say, okay, what can I learn? And after you've taken in new material, new content, you can go back to your we'll call them students, it's just the easiest way to do it, and be, okay, hey, I've got new insights into this. I've got, let's touch back on what we had discussed X amount of time ago. There's never a limit when it comes to what you can educate your community on. That's how I feel about that.
Yeah, and also there's always going to be new people to coach, right? Even if, because I think a lot of good coaching programs are not designed to be, forever. There should be at some point where, okay, I've taught you what I know as a coach, if you're not continually educating yourself at least. And I think you can always look for new people to bring on to coach, though, because there's just no way you're going to hit everybody who needs a coach. So that's just cycling through new people as well. Vel or AllFun, do you guys quickly have any thoughts for British on this topic?
Yeah, I think with a game like Siege, like there's always some sort of update that changes the meta a little bit, to where you can instruct people on that as well. And maybe one of the weapon attachments changes how certain weapons fire drastically. So maybe just like there's always new things. Like I know with CS:GO, they update things so often where like say a weapon spray is totally different now. So if you go watch the War Owl videos on AK sprays from back like maybe 3 years ago, they're probably not current with today's meta or like, even like the weapon spray or anything. So just constantly putting out content with, the updated meta, the updated, tutorial on everything that you can in that game as far as, what they've updated recently, I think is something that you can always count on because they're always going to be changing it. There's always, one minor detail that could be almost game breaking that people don't even know about, whereas like where Blitz, has been nerfed immensely lately to where, he's not even as usable as he used to be. That changes the total play of ranked gaming. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. AllFun, you have thoughts at all?
Yeah, I mean, like the initial question you're asking, Britt, is basically like, I don't want to coach anymore. Not that you don't want to coach anymore, but you feel like you're going to meet like a peak of coaching when it comes to Rainbow Six, and you might want to migrate to another game to coach for that. Or was it? I kind of thought like you were kind of also asking if you were kind of looking to go to a different avenue just in general for Twitch as well too.
So like, my thought was like, if I did hit a dead end with like coaching, like should I like just like go to another game and like kind of like stop the whole coaching, or go to another game and like get like somewhat better that and knowledge of that game and continue on with the coaching on a different game?
Yeah, like you could. I mean, it's always like what Vel was saying is no matter what game that is out there, and you'll see this all across the board, is nerfing and buffing certain characters or whatnot is gonna always keep the game like not stagnant. You know what I mean? Because that's like the idea behind games like that is there's a reason behind them doing that. It's because people there's obviously exploits or whatever obviously that they're included in that as well too. But it's always good to if you feel like you're getting bored or you're getting where you've kind of at a wall on a certain game, obviously going to another game like CS:GO or whatnot and deciding to coach on that game is obviously always a choice as well too. But I think that there's more than just getting good at a game. There's more there's obviously just different ways of coaching, right? Whether you're coaching to focus on like your shots, or whether you're focusing on your call outs, whether you're focusing on your team play, like there's so many different categories I think with coaching. But I think that if you sit down and you say to yourself, I'm really finding myself like bored or at a wall or at the length I can really get on this game, you got to kind of sit and say, maybe I should go to something else, because the more you do it, the more you're just going to keep feeling that and keep feeling that and keep feeling that until you basically diminish yourself to the point where you don't want to play that game at all anymore. And it happens all the time with streamers. So
yeah, I think if the question is, do I enjoy coaching? Do I feel like I'm good at coaching? That's a whole other aspect. But in terms of, do I ever hit a wall with coaching? I don't think that should be a limiting factor for what you're considering to do with your content. If you just don't like coaching, or if you feel like it's not for you in some sense, then that should be a different thought for you. But I wouldn't not do coaching because, I feel like I'll hit a wall after a month or something. Because you can always break through that wall and find more things to teach or new people to teach in that sense. Does that kind of help you a little bit, British?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Any other follow-up questions or thoughts on that before we wrap it up?
Not at all.
Cool, man. Thanks for calling in, as always.
No problem. See you next week.
Yeah. See you next
Yeah.
week. All right, guys. It's all right. So that is going to do it for this week's show. Thank you guys all so much for coming out. We'll be back next week, as always, 11 a.m. Eastern here on the channel. First of all, let's go to Nagata Lock. Anything you want to say to people before we head off here, where they can find you, anything they should know?
Yeah, you can find me at Nagata Lock 2 across every platform. It's all the same, like right across the board. I stream every Monday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So see you pop in sometime.
And that's Nagata Lock II for people, audio listeners out there. Yeah. Also, AllFunNGamez has some interesting spelling. Where can people find you, AllFun?
AllFunNGamez on Twitch. Stream every single day. Pretty much every single day now. So and I stream a lot of indie games, a lot of survival, focus on a game called Don't Starve Together a lot. But pretty much just play whatever I enjoy at that moment in time. As I mentioned before, I stream every single day, about 7 hours a day. So if you guys don't get a chance to catch me during the day, you can always catch me at nighttime. So feel free to stop by. And
Sweet. Last but not least, Veli, what should the people know?
I'm Velok, and you can find me at Velok_TV on Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat, even though I don't really use it. But yeah, the Velok_TV on everything. And I play games most of the time during the morning. So if you're at work and you got nothing to do,
now you do.
Watch my stream. Yeah.
If you guys are listening to the audio, you can get all the links in the description below the video or in the podcast. Also, please make sure you check us out on listening platforms like Spotify, iTunes, also on YouTube, everything else out there. And please let us know if you guys have a question and you can't get to the live show. You can always DM us on Discord, Twitter, send us an email with your questions, and we will read them off here and talk about them on the show. Thank you guys for watching. We will catch you next week, and stay tuned for a raid right after this. As always,
Blaze up.
That was pretty in sync. That's good.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. See you guys.